Lisa McVey is only 17 years old when her life changes forever. On a dark November night, she has an encounter that could have come straight out of a nightmare. And despite her shock and fear, Lisa manages to stay in control. Although she had been thinking about ending it all just hours earlier, in the face of death, one thing suddenly becomes clear to her. Lisa wants to live. And to do that, she has to outsmart a man who has been terrorizing the entire region for months. Lisa McVey grows up in Tampa, Florida. Every year, millions of tourists travel to Tampa to enjoy a relaxing vacation by the sea. But what is a dream destination for many Americans is hell on earth for Lisa. Even in her earliest childhood, she had a difficult life. Her mother was addicted to drugs and alcohol. As a result, Lisa lived in various foster homes for years. At the age of 14, Lisa finally moved in with her grandmother. Unfortunately, the situation did not improve for the teenager there either. On the contrary, her grandmother's boyfriend abandoned her for years. In her own home, where she should have felt safest. On top of that, Lisa works at a Krispy Kreme donut shop alongside her schoolwork. This is, of course, an additional burden for the 17-year-old. On the other hand, the donut shop is a safe place for Lisa, where she feels comfortable and can distract herself from the terrible situation at home. She has an almost fatherly relationship with her boss, Gary. Lisa suspects that Gary may have an idea of what is going on at home. Her boss makes sure that Lisa has a peaceful environment at the donut shop and is always there to listen to her. At the beginning of November 1984, Lisa McVey sees no way out and decides to take a drastic step. Lisa writes a farewell letter. She plans to end her suffering the next evening, but less than 24 hours later, she will be fighting for her life and realizing how strong her will to live still is. On November 3rd, Lisa has to work at the donut shop. She has the late shift, and when she rides her bike home after work, it's already 2 a.m. Lisa even worked a double shift. While all her other coworkers try to avoid doing so, Lisa gladly accepts such shifts. The longer she can stay away from home, the better. As Lisa sits on her bike, lost in thought as she rides through the night, she is suddenly knocked down. She falls onto the street, and when she looks up, she sees her kidnapper staring into her eyes. Lisa barely has time to react before the man grabs her and holds a gun to her head. The man who takes Lisa McVey captive is named Bobby Joe Long, and he is currently wreaking havoc in Florida as a serial killer. Lisa has also heard about his crimes on the news, but things like kidnapping and murder always seemed like something that only happened to other people, not to her. But suddenly, that's exactly what becomes Lisa's reality. Bobby pulls her into his car, where he forces her to undress. Then he puts a blindfold on her. But before he does, Lisa reacts with lightning speed. She tenses her facial muscles and jaw so that the blindfold fits more loosely than intended. This allows her to peek underneath it from time to time. Lisa likes to watch detective shows on TV, and now she tries to remember everything she knows from movies. Under the blindfold, she looks out the car window for memorable buildings so she can find her way around later. Lisa counts the traffic lights and tries to remember when Bobby turns. The drive takes about 30 minutes before the car comes to a stop. She recognizes a Magnum logo on the dashboard of her kidnapper's car. Sometimes she can make out the man's physical features. He seems to be tall, his hair is not very long, he has a beard and some pockmarks. While still in the car, he Lisa several times. But even during this, Lisa looks for ways to leave traces behind. She is on her period and leaves a used tampon in Bobby's car. If she dies at the hands of this man, she wants to do everything she can to ensure that he will later be known as the person responsible. As Bobby drags her out of the car and into his apartment, she counts every single step on the stairs. In the bathroom of the apartment, she touches every surface to leave as many fingerprints as possible. Over the next 26 hours, Bobby Joe Long repeatedly abuses Lisa. But for a sad reason, Lisa is able to endure it all. She is already familiar with this situation from home through her grandmother's boyfriend. As sad as it is, Lisa is used to the enormous violence she experiences at the hands of the serial offender. And it allows her to keep a cool head in unimaginable circumstances. She devises a tactic that probably saves her life. She later recalls the kidnapping in an interview. "The moment he held the gun to my head, I screamed, 'God, whatever you do, don't kill me.' It was as if something had switched, something clicked, like, whatever he does to me, I can take it. But now, I'm going to fight for my life." Lisa later describes her approach as reverse psychology. She tried to tell the perpetrator exactly what he wanted to hear. He told her about similar crimes he had committed in the past. When Lisa asked him why, he told her something that she would use to her advantage in the hours that followed. Bobby said he simply wanted to take revenge on women. His previous relationships had failed, and he just couldn't seem to find a new partner. Out of frustration, he eventually started killing strange women. So Lisa pretends to take a liking to her kidnapper. She says to him, "I could be your girlfriend. I'd do anything you want. The circumstances under which we met are unfortunate, but we don't have to tell anyone how we met. Let's just do it." For hours, Lisa talks to her kidnapper as gently as she can. Later, she will say that she spoke to Bobby as if he were a 4-year-old. Lisa also tells him that her father is ill. She is the only one who can take care of him. He has no one else. And her words do indeed have an effect on Bobby. At around 4:30 a.m. on November 4th, Bobby takes Lisa back to his car. At this point, Lisa has been in her kidnapper's custody for about 26 hours. He drops Lisa off and tells her to stay where she is for 5 minutes, probably to give him a head start on his escape. Lisa does what Bobby tells her to do. She later describes her first moments back in freedom as follows. "So he drove away. I took off the blindfold, and the first thing I saw was this beautiful, magnificent oak tree. That was the moment I knew I was going to change my life for the better. I saw the branches of new life." After Lisa is released, she runs back to her grandmother's house. There she meets her grandmother's boyfriend, but when Lisa tells him what has happened to her in the past 26 hours, he doesn't believe her. Lisa must then muster the courage to go to the police and tell them about her experiences, all by herself. Fortunately, she meets officers there who listen to her. Police officer Larry Pinkerton, in particular, immediately supports Lisa as best he can. Lisa is still wearing the clothes she was kidnapped in, and the police find red fiber traces on her clothes. The police in Florida recently found exactly the same fiber traces on the bodies of 10 dead women. The police have been searching the entire state for weeks for the person responsible. And now, it looks as if Lisa McVey could bring them one step closer to their suspect. The Magnum logo that Lisa saw on the dashboard of her kidnapper's car also helps the investigation. There is only one model with this brand name in this location, the 1978 Dodge Magnum. When the police check who drives such a car in the area, they quickly come across the name Bobby Joe Long. Lisa also remembers that her kidnapper stopped at an ATM at around 3 a.m. The police evaluate records from nearby bank branches and find a match. At around 3 a.m., Bobby Joe Long used an ATM near his apartment. When Lisa is shown a photo of Bobby, she immediately identifies him. He is first placed under surveillance and then arrested. At the age of only 17, Lisa McVey has just helped put a serial killer behind bars. While Bobby Joe Long initially confesses only to the crimes against Lisa McVey, he later admits to further crimes: 10 murders and dozens of rapes. Between 1980 and 1983, Bobby Joe Long systematically assaulted at least 50 women. He searches newspapers for people offering household items for sale in classified ads. Bobby Joe Long then makes an appointment, and when he finds a woman home alone, he threatens her with a knife, ties her up, and assaults her. When Bobby Joe Long starts doing this, he is still married. Occasionally, after the crime, he would steal jewelry from his victims and bring it to his wife as a gift. But as he became increasingly violent towards his own wife, she divorced Bobby. He then began approaching prostitutes and luring them into his car, and he began murdering the women he had abused after his crimes. 10 women are murdered by Bobby in the space of just 6 months. Artis Ann Wick, Neem T. Long, Michelle Denise Sims, Elizabeth Loudenbach, Vicky Marie Elliott, Chanel Williams, Karen Dinsfried, Kimberly Kyle Hobbs, Virginia Lee Johnson, and Kim Marie Swan. An exact motive for the murders can never be established with certainty. Bobby Joe Long is said to have been repeatedly bullied by classmates during his childhood. He had an excess of the hormone estrogen, which also influenced his physical development. In addition, he had a toxic relationship with his mother, who was a single parent. All of these factors may have contributed to his aversion to women, which continued to manifest itself after the failure of his relationship, and in particular, his marriage. Bobby Joe Long is sentenced to death for the kidnapping and abuse of Lisa and 10 counts of murder. After her kidnapping, Lisa McVey moves in with her aunt and uncle. She is much better off there than she was at her grandmother's house. She finally has a safe home and a place to process her traumatic experiences. Lisa McVey has decided to draw strength from her suffering. Today, she works as a police officer in the very same police department that helped her in 1984 when she was able to free herself from Bobby Joe Long. She still struggles with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. Nightmares, in particular, continue to plague her. But Lisa carries on. She has made it her mission to look after the children in her county and protect them as a police officer. She is also still friends with Larry Pinkerton, the police officer who helped her the most back then. On April 23, 2019, the governor at the time signs the request to carry out Bobby's death sentence. At that point, he has already been on death row for more than 34 years. Shortly thereafter, Bobby Joe Long's daughter speaks out in the media for the first time. She reports that her father had undergone a significant personality change shortly before his murders, following a serious head injury. She said her father had suffered a brain injury at the time. However, in the 1980s, this was not properly recognized, and Bobby was sent home too quickly. A few years earlier, Bobby's ex-wife had already said that he had a completely new personality after a serious motorcycle accident. He had become controlling and violent. He had not been like that before. Even as a child, Bobby is said to have suffered several serious head injuries. His daughter says she is willing to donate her father's brain for research purposes after his execution, so that scientists can discuss whether the head injury may have been a factor in his later murders. In May 2019, the time has come. Bobby Joe Long is executed, 34 years after his conviction. When asked if he has any last words, Bobby replies with a simple no. 25 people are present as he is administered the lethal injection. Among them is Lisa McVey, who is relieved that her nightmare has finally come to an end. Lisa's story has even been made into a movie called Believe Me, The Abduction of Lisa McVey. Let me know what you think about the case and Lisa McVey. To me, she's a hero, and I think it's crazy how she was able to keep her cool in such a situation. Other than that, there's not much else to say. I wish you a good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're watching this video, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Until then, ciao everyone.